Don't pass judgment against me, not until you hear my entire part of the story, and I am interested in your opinion. What if it was you? In my place, what would you have done differently? I want you to be honest and sincere. If it was you by then, what would you have done in my place? After hearing my entire story, just write your opinion in the comment section. This was and is the most regrettable moment ever to happen in my life. A mistake I will always regret doing. You listening to my painful experience I went through could be of great help and a key to saving you from falling into the same trap I did. Yes, learning from others' mistakes can save you from the pain they had to go through, but if you are not ready to learn from others' mistakes, my dear, be ready to experience the pain and learn from your own painful moments. That is if you live long enough to be a lesson to yourself. Unfortunately, many have been swept away in pain, and they didn't have a chance to learn from their own painful experiences. So if I tell you to listen to every part of my story and learn, this could be a lifesaver for you. If I had someone to advise me on this matter by then, I wouldn't be sorrowful like as I am today. There are moments which you wish never happened in your life, and this is one of them. Also, there are people in life you wish you never met, and your life would have been better. But I want to tell you, sadly, I have met the people I wish I never met in my life. Here is the story, which broke and left my heart into pieces for a season. Most times it's a guy who breaks our heart and leaves us shuddered. But in my case, this is totally a different turn of happening. Surprisingly, it's not a guy, but the friends I trusted so much. For their integrity's sake and purpose of not putting them on a negative side, I will not mention anyone's name here, since I don't hold grudges nor blame them for anything which did happen to be, but I turn them into a thankful moment of my life, because I took this moment as a great lesson of my life, a teaching which didn't take place in a classroom setting. Premise, but a life lesson. Back then we were young, but since I had just completed my studies, I believed I was ready for a relationship. And since I was of age, I was of a belief that even my parents trusted me to make the right choice of decisions in my life. So my parents were not of great concern in interfering in what step I would have taken, since they had done the greater part of taking me to school. But I believed they had a question in their mind if I would really make them proud thereafter or not, and none would predict the outcome. But today I can boldly tell you, only God can tell you what the future really holds, because from what I am about to tell you, things can take a drastic turn when you least expect. I had some friends I admired from my heart. Of course, we were not friends at first, but I secretly admired them so much. I mean the kind of lifestyle they lived. They seemed to have all the life and the freedom the world seemed to offer, and unimaginable or great luck seemed to be on their side. This made me to question myself, if we were really all made from the same material, or God had forgotten something about me and my creation. They had rich guys who also seemed to have it all. I am talking about cars, money, name it. But at first I didn't get to understand their lifestyle, and I couldn't put things together through my mind how they were very rich. Yes, I am talking about appearing richer for their age. Yes, at such an early age that they could even change cars at least after every few months, which could take a normal person years to achieve, or even somebody's entire life, and still just remain in their dreams, but they seem to have it all manifested in reality. Can I say luck was on my side? Since I found myself caught up among their company, by then I would boldly say yes. But now I can confirm it wasn't luck, but a receipt or snare for brewing disaster, which no one could talk me out by then. If you prevented me from their company, I would immediately mistake you for a destiny obstacle or killer, but now I could refer to you as an angel who had come on a rescue mission. Though I had joined their company, luck wasn't on my side. I thought within myself, is there some kind of a curse trying to follow me up? My point of disappointment was from someone who was interested in me. He was really poor. He had nothing to be proud of, for real. I could even predict what he could put on the following day. Because his life seemed... I can't even find right words to describe his situation. Maybe let me say nothing about his life was figured out yet, but he expected me to be with him and figure out things together. Girls, I am sure you can understand the disappointment this can bring when you are among friends who have their dream boyfriends, but on your side totally different. But when I got close to him, I realized he was very genuine, unique, and sincere at heart. Nothing about him was a mystery like my friends' guys. He was exactly the opposite of them. They didn't care about how they spent their money. They did like there was no tomorrow, and there was no pain in it. But him, he cared about every penny. he would spend. Most times he would be found walking on foot. He didn't own even a cheapest a car, not even a simple bicycle. Guys, you can imagine, imagine. I didn't own one either yet. I was just trying to focus on what he didn't have. Many questions were running through my mind. If such kind of a guy could even afford taking care of me and my imaginary status I had elevated myself to. That's what I thought by then, but now I can humbly tell you, there is nothing in Clayman. You are of a higher standard and someone else lesser because he doesn't present him or herself as you are. Yes, you can disagree, but let the situation humble you. That is when you will agree with me. People are just the same. We are all on the same level, though we are just fortunate to be in the setup where we are at a particular moment, which can come to nothing at any moment, but at that moment can make you seem you are totally at different levels. If you get what I am driving at, you won't despise even the poor you always meet, because they could turn out totally different in just a space of time. Let's get back on the track. To the point of my story, I found myself starting to fall for him, but because of the status my friends were portraying, I was even scared to tell them that I had started seeing a guy who was even far apart to our class. I saw it wisdom to keep him a secret, to avoid an embarrassment and a talk of shame. After some time, the guy expressed his intentions and interest that he had in me. He told me how he wanted us to start a family. In simple words, he was interested in marrying me. Though I had finished my school, I thought it quite early for that. But I didn't realize some opportunities rarely come, and if not realized, they will never come again. I being single today doesn't mean I had none interested in me. At my early age, there were a line for guys, but my decision is what has put me at this status. Anyway, let's get back to my life story. Things started to get out of hand with my poor guy when my friends introduced me to my dream guy who seemed to have it all. Yeah, almost Mr. Perfect. He had the looks, height, money, the cars, and style, and my poor guy had none of these. No style, no money, everything about him was in the future, and only God knew what that kind of guy could be up to. I pictured myself being with him, like being unfortunate and unlucky, to the point of losing my breath. But when I was introduced to my dream guy by my friends, it was like I had received back a breath of a new life. I was so much overwhelmed, and nothing seemed real. Everything seemed like a magical appearance, like I was caught up in the most beautiful dream of my life. My friends were from a religious background, but how they lived their life, their religious beliefs had no effects. They were interested in partying, drinking, and being in expensive places. Peer pressure caught up with me, and because of my beauty, I found myself almost becoming a celebrity in no time. But I wasn't realizing my life was losing focus and direction. I started to think if I had even made a terrible mistake, giving a poor guy a chance in my life. Had I waited a little longer, I wouldn't have this burden by my shoulder. But now I was in the middle of a very challenging decision to face, which I could not escape from. No matter what, at some point, I would have to face it head-on, like two cars hitting each other in an accident and colliding head-on. Only the passengers would experience the shaking. In this case, our hearts would have to feel the effect of the decision I would have to make. Though I was in a relationship with my poor guy, I found myself in another relationship. I had shared with my friends that I was earlier in a relationship with a guy who didn't have much, but they were against it. When they brought up the idea of setting me up with a guy who would match their status, at first I didn't agree, because I had my guy who I was trying to keep a secret. My poor guy was very serious about me. For him, he didn't care being seen around with me. Like he wanted to announce me as a golden trophy and introduce me to his friends. Truthfully, I was skeptic because of my situation. He even came home for a few times just to say hello, and I ignored him like there was nothing between us. Since my parents already knew him, at the point of being a family friend, I didn't have much to be answerable for. This is where the turning point started. He didn't take it well with me. He started realizing my heart had shifted and I seemed not to give him any of the attention anymore. My friends advised me to start putting him on a test, claiming that he really didn't love me, that he was just pretending and was just attracted to our status, which status didn't really exist. So when they introduced me to my dream guy, I started despising him and showing him an attitude each time he came, but my point in all this was to push him away from my life. I even told him to reduce the frequency of the phone calls he was making to me because I didn't want my dream guy to know about him. I tried to push him away, but he didn't give in. I had to block him on my social media because he was commenting on my posts, which was causing attention that would expose me. I had tried keeping him a secret, but when I realized I could not hide him anymore, my friends advised me to break up with him. It took me a great while trying to figure out what to do, and now my mother had started suspecting that he was in love with me. But she didn't want to interfere since I had not shared anything with her, but my friends knew exactly what was going on.
It was very hard for me.
I decided to trash and harass him, but that didn't make him go. I got confused on what to do next. I tried to explain I wasn't interested in the relationship anymore, but that was not a reason enough to push him away. But what broke him was the day my friend told him I am in love with a rich guy and that I could not stand his poverty anymore. He didn't believe my friend until he saw me being dropped off by the guy, and when he came to greet me in his presence, I had no option but to deny him. I had to change lines to cut myself from him since I was blinded and did not see a future with him anymore. I followed my friend's advice and broke up with him. I didn't even tell my parents about him. I took time not hearing from him because I had blocked him from most of my platform. Then, after some time, reality came in, and that is when I realized I had made a terrible mistake of my life. The friends I had admired so much were living a fake life. Their sources of money could not be established, though some claimed that their parents were rich families. Even the guys were living a fake life. It dawned on me when I realized the posh cars they were changing were just borrowed. I regretted despising my poor guy, who was genuine with me, and then I realized my friends were not even interested in marriage, but just in having fun and changing guys. After I realized I was trapped, I decided to look for the poor guy, at least to start over, because I knew he loved me so much. Just showing up would make him fall into my arms and plead with me to make up again. Unfortunately, he had left the area I was familiar with. I tried to access his contacts, but wasn't easy because we had parted. I tried checking his social media. Fortunately, I was able to access him, but he wasn't responding back. I kept wondering what had happened to him. A person who was willing to give his life for me, now he didn't even respond. No, this wasn't him. Could my mind be playing tricks on me? What broke my heart, he had moved on and he was doing better, and he was even married to someone I despised so much, but now she was the lucky one with my guy. Then I realized beauty alone is not enough, but character and respecting each other are very important for a relationship to go on. The time I was wasting on my peers, a lot happened, and that is when I started regretting why I had even listened to my friends to take their wicked advice. But it was now too late. Unfortunately, time could not be reversed, nor turned back. Years had gone by, and my time was wasted with the guy I thought had already figured out life and seemed to have it all, and now age is not on my side anymore. My beauty is not as sharp as it was before. The most painful thing, my friends who advised me against marriage at that time, and I listened and heeded to them, they are now married. I wasted the only genuine and golden opportunity God had presented to me, because of my blindness to the love of being well in a short time and admiring a life of other people. I am now still praying and believing God to give me another opportunity, but I have forgiven all my friends who misled me. Since I have been there, listen to me. Never allow your friends to take control of your relationship, and be careful with those telling you to test your guy. It could be a trap laid for you to lose him forever. Most times, the people telling you to test him, they themselves have trust issues or they are offended by your progression. Material things can be achieved. This I learned it after. Had I gotten this lesson before, I would not have gone in that direction. If you start working and earn your own money, that will save you from frustrating a guy and putting him on unnecessary pressure, because you will understand what it means to get money. Can you imagine what my parents could not afford? I expected him to afford it for me. Was I really being too much?